Hello, this is Eric Hunter, and I want to briefly talk about the universal pendulum. So this is a French universal pendulum that I have here in my hands. And this is a very powerful and interesting healing tool that is not often talked about, and there is really not a whole lot of information on it. There are a couple of sources of information that are in English about this pendulum, but they're kind of hard to find, and the different authors disagree with each other on its use. You can find some information in other languages than English, but once again, the explanations are a little hard to follow, so I just want to briefly explain what's going on with this thing to kind of give you sort of a baseline understanding of it. So this pendulum, when you look at it, it has letters all over it. So there are letters that go around it at the equator, but then there are also rows of letters that go vertically up and down. And the letters stand for the electromagnetic spectrum of energy. So for example, like right here is R, that stands for red light, or the color red, which is part of the electromagnetic spectrum of visible light. IR is infrared. And infrared is obviously not visible, but it is part of the electromagnetic spectrum of energy. If you go into a sauna or have like a heater in your house that's one of those electric heaters, it's generating infrared energy that keeps you warm, makes your skin warm. All right, you have others like G is green, B is blue. So basically you have all the colors of the rainbow, which you normally think of as being light. But then you have other parts of the electromagnetic spectrum like UV, infrared, and then also in this band here between black, B, and white, you have things like radio waves, microwaves, and other forms of more intense electromagnetic energies. And you also have this mysterious green negative, which is a type of energy that pendulum radionics practitioners recognize, but it's not recognized in mainstream science. And this green negative is believed to have many very interesting properties. So the pendulum itself is a tool to measure and transmit electromagnetic energy. That's why the universal pendulum was designed. So the founders of this pendulum, they created it in the 1950s, a period of time when there was a lot of electromagnetic energy being generated, and new forms of electromagnetic energy were being understood and discovered by a wider group of people. For example, the atomic bomb radiation, the people who've made this pendulum wanted a way to try to detect radiation in the environment without having to use a Geiger counter. And also things like radio waves, wanting to be able to detect these things. So they developed this tool, and they believed that they could use it to detect electromagnetic energies. They also believed that you could use it to transmit electromagnetic energies. So if you were to spin this pendulum around and adjust the string so that it goes over a point on the pendulum that you would like to transmit, you could set this pendulum so that it could transmit an energy. So that's why it was created, for detection and transmission of electromagnetic energies. Now, this part here, the equatorial part, is considered to be the electromagnetic spectrum. So what they did further was electricity and all electromagnetic energy comes as a wave. So there's a wave form, and there's an electric wave and a magnetic wave. I'm not going to go into all those details, but basically electromagnetic energy is electric energy, and magnetic energy are always together. They're coupled, and they're kind of like yin and yang. They complement each other. So this pendulum breaks it down. So they have at the equator, it's supposed to represent the electromagnetic, the natural state of electromagnetic energy. But then these vertical lines are supposed to represent the breakdown of the electric part of the spectrum versus the magnetic part of the spectrum. And I don't want to go into it in more detail because it will get way too confusing without having charts and everything to show you, but just basically understand that this pendulum is supposed to be representing the entire electromagnetic spectrum of light and energy, and that it also is supposed to give the operator the ability to distinguish between the electric part of the spectrum and the magnetic part of the energy. Okay. Now, in terms of just like healing use, like how could you use this for healing? Well, for example, medical doctors have shown that infrared energy, like very low levels of infrared light are good for healing. So you could set this pendulum to IR on the equator and then hold the string at the correct point and hold it over a wound that needs to be healed. And if the theory of pendulum radionics is correct, this pendulum is emitting electromagnetic radiation of infrared. And this could facilitate healing of a wound. Now, has anyone proven that this is actually happening with these pendulums? No. But what I have noticed just through my experiments, that if you set it to the different points on the surface of the pendulum, the energies do feel subjectively very different to your hand. And the way that these energies are generated or made available are through some principles of biogeometry. So the pendulum inside of it has a very specific structure that polarizes the pendulum with geometric shape. And then the ball shape itself produces certain geometry, and where you hold it on the string in relation to your hand affects its geometry. And it's believed that all of this interacting with the environment, so light and electromagnetic energy from the environment, light and electromagnetic energy coming from your hand, interacts with this geometric object, producing these different wavelengths of electromagnetic energy, which you could use for healing purposes. Do scientists, mainstream scientists, recognize this? No. But if you are into pendulum radionics and you're willing to accept some of the basic premises of that, then this is what is believed to be going on with this pendulum. You set the pendulum to certain wavelengths of electromagnetic energy, and you can use those wavelengths for healing or for detection. Now, for healing work, you would want to use ones that are medically recognized as being helpful for healing. So like ultraviolet UV is sterilizing. So you could use that for sterilization. Blue, which is actually bluish green on here. Indigo is actually blue. So indigo, which is basically blue, blue-green, and green. Here's G green. These are all shown to promote health and healing in the human body. And if you've studied my work, radioaesthetic color blue or blue-green is the color of optimal health. So cells, tissues, and organs, when they're extremely healthy, they have this very faint energetic signature of blue-green, which is called radioaesthetic blue. So you can set the pendulum to that radioaesthetic blue, hold it over somebody, and transmit this healing energy to their body, which will help them to restore their health. There's a lot more to this pendulum. I could barely even scratch the surface with this video, but I just wanted to just highlight a few things about it to kind of clarify any confusion that's out there. But like I said, I have resources, and other people have resources available where if you want to learn in depth what this pendulum is about, how to work it, that is available. Well, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you have a great day. Bye.